What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm counting down the top 10 most classic sneakers. Every year we get tons of brand new sneaker silhouettes trying to cement their legacy as one of the most classic sneakers of all time. And as the years roll on, it gets harder and harder for brands to create brand new, unique, and iconic sneakers. So because we've just started the brand new decade, the 20s, that's crazy to say, I decided to count down the top 10 most classic sneakers of all time so far. If you'd like to check out any of the shoes that I talk about in today's video, I've left links to each shoe in the description below. But without further ado, let's jump right into the list. Number 10, the Puma Suede Classic. Originally released back in 1968, the Puma Suede Classic has cemented itself as one of Puma's most iconic sneakers. The shoe is elegant and simple, and as the name would suggest, it's covered in suede. The Puma Suede Classic comes in a ton of different colors, so no matter what style you're going for, you can probably find a pair of Puma Suedes to match. One of the most obvious details of the shoe is the Puma logo that runs down the midfoot of the sneaker, usually in a white leather. Even though it's a logo, it really gives the shoe its unique feel, and without that logo, it just wouldn't look right. The Puma Suede Classic is surprisingly comfortable because of its well-padded tongue, and it also has a textured rubber midsole and outsole. There's really not much else to say about the Puma Suede. With this shoe, it's kind of what you see is what you get, and what you see is a pretty good-looking sneaker. And like a lot of the other shoes on the list, the reason this shoe is so popular is because of its lower price point. You can grab a pair of Puma Suede Classics right now for around 65 bucks. Number 9, the Adidas Superstar. For over 50 years, the Adidas Superstar has been one of their most popular models. The Superstar is also really well known for being worn by a lot of athletes and musicians. If you were around in the 90s or early 2000s, I'm sure you can think of at least a couple. Most colorways of the Superstar feature full grain leather with those very recognizable serrated Adidas 3 stripes. And of course, you can't forget the iconic Superstar shell toe. The textured rubber shell toe wraps up from the midsole of the sneaker to the toe for added durability and just because it looks cool. This year, Adidas actually launched a special campaign to pay homage to the classic sneaker. In fact, they sent me this crazy package with like this glass screen that you gotta check it out. There's a link at the top of the screen. And just like the last sneaker on the list, the Adidas Superstar comes in at a sub $100 price point of 80 bucks. Number 8, the Vans Authentic. I've been a huge fan of Vans for years. In fact, I actually worked at a Vans store growing up from age like 16 to age 18, I think. And the Vans Authentic is truly one of the most classic Vans you can buy. In fact, it first came out in 1966. This is an essential sneaker silhouette. This is one of those shoes that everyone should have at least one pair of. And I'm pretty sure that this shoe comes in pretty much every shade of any color that's ever existed. The shoe features an uncomplicated, durable canvas upper with contrasting stitching. It's also got a vulcanized midsole and a waffle sole rounding off the bottom. If you've never heard the story about how the waffle sole became a thing, you've definitely got to Google it. It's really interesting. The Vans Authentic is a pretty comfortable everyday shoe that's easy to rock with anything, and it comes in at an even more comfortable price of 50 bucks. So even if you destroy your pair right out of the gate, or you decide that you want a second colorway of the shoe, you can actually grab 2 pairs of these for basically the price of a lot of the shoes on this list. Number 7, the Air Jordan 3. The Air Jordan 3 is one of my personal favorite sneakers on this list, and of course, it's Michael Jordan's third signature sneaker. It's also the first Air Jordan model designed by iconic sneaker designer Tinker Hatfield, and is actually the reason Michael Jordan stayed with the brand. Apparently, Michael wasn't a huge fan of the Air Jordan 2, and then when they brought in Tinker Hatfield to design the Air Jordan 3, he saw the concept and was so in love with it, he decided to stay. The shoe originally released back in 1988 in 4 different colors, and each one of these colors featured the now iconic elephant print. Because of just how good the Jordan 3 looks, and also because of the history that Michael Jordan made in this shoe, it's one of those sneakers that's always going to be on people's radars. Not only does the Air Jordan 3 look good, but Michael Jordan also made history in this shoe, cementing it as one of the most historic sneakers of all time. And even decades after its original release, the Air Jordan 3 is still one of the most sought after Jordan models ever made. Unfortunately, unlike some of the sneakers that we just talked about, it's one of the more expensive shoes on the list, and usually retails around 190 bucks. Number 6, the Adidas Stan Smith. Originally designed for the tennis court, the Stan Smith has become one of the most popular tennis sneakers of all time. Named after the famous American tennis player Stan Smith, this is one of those rare shoes that you can dress up or dress down because it just looks like it fits in any situation. The Stan Smith features a minimal leather upper with perforations on the midfoot that form the Adidas 3 stripes. Even though it's such a small detail, one of my favorite parts of the Stan Smith is the green heel tab, at least on the classic colorway. Of course, there are other colorways with different colored heel tabs. The Stan Smith also usually features a leather sock liner, which can feel a little bit sweaty at times, but really makes you feel like you're walking around in a premium shoe. The shoe features Stan Smith's face on the tongue and also the Adidas Trefoil logo on the heel. And you can actually grab a pair right now for the not so premium price of 50 bucks. Number 5, the Nike Air Max 1. As you probably guessed, the Nike Air Max 1 was the first Air Max. hence the name Air Max 1. The shoe first dropped in 1987 and was designed by Tinker Hatfield. One pretty interesting piece of history about the running sneaker is that this was actually the first shoe to feature visible air, meaning that this was actually the first time that Nike featured a cutout on the midfoot of the shoe showing off the air unit in the heel. Tinker's original idea for these cutouts was actually to allow the air unit in the heel to compress a little bit more when you stood on it because it had more space to expand. The visible air unit also happened to work out as a great marketing tool for the cushioning setup. And to this day, the Air Max 1 remains one of the most popular and coveted lifestyle running sneakers on the market, and it still comes out in a ton of different colorways and features a lot of different collaborations. The most popular colorway of the Air Max 1 is the original white and red colorway. It's simple, but it's elegant, and it really pops. The Nike Air Max 1 also doesn't totally break the bank with a retail price of $150. Number 4, the Converse Chuck Taylor All-Star. The Converse All-Star first debuted in 1917 as just an athletic sneaker and quickly became one of the most popular basketball sneakers of the time. In fact, people were playing basketball in Chucks up until the mid-70s. The Chuck Taylor name was actually added onto the back of the shoe in the form of that rubber patch in 1932, and of course it was named after professional basketball player Chuck Taylor. And the reason he was so significant to the Converse brand is because he went around the country teaching basketball clinics and selling Converses. Originally, Chucks were only made in high tops, but around the 60s they decided to start adding in a low top variant of the shoe. And actually, if you would like to grab either of these shoes, I've left links to do so in the description below. Now in 2020, Chucks are such a prolific sneaker, you can find them in pretty much every style and color, and of course you can also find them in pretty much any price point. Number 3, the Air Jordan 1. The Jordan 1 was Michael Jordan's first signature sneaker, and it released near the end of his rookie year in 1985. The shoe takes a lot of design cues from the Nike Airship, which he played in the beginning of his career. And as of right now, the Air Jordan 1 High is one of the most coveted and popular sneakers in the market. Over the last couple years, it's actually rare for a pair of Air Jordan 1s to sit on shelves and ever really go on sale. They all pretty much sell out, which if you think about is kind of crazy for a shoe that first released in 1985. If for some reason you're not a fan of the high top variant of the shoe, you can find the Jordan 1 in a low top and a mid top version. But let's be honest, they're not as cool. Of course, you can't go wrong with the classic colorway of the Jordan 1s like the Chicagos, the Breads, the Royals, the Shadows, but it will be somewhat difficult to find a pair of those for a decent price. But the reason that I love the Jordan 1 so much is I feel like it's the most well-designed sneaker ever made. Every panel and part of the shoe just works together so nicely. It's like a jigsaw puzzle that came together perfectly. It's also an incredibly popular sneaker because of how versatile it is. You can wear it on the court, you can wear it to a formal event, maybe. You can wear it for skating, you can wear it with your hypebeast outfit, you could even wear it to work, at least most jobs. Like a lot of the other shoes on the list, the retail price for the Jordan 1 has risen pretty steadily over the last few years, and right now it's at about $175. Number 2, the Vans Old Skool. Even though the Old Skool is called the Old Skool, it's not the oldest pair of Vans ever released. In fact, it first released in 1977. I actually think the Vans Old Skool is my favorite style of Vans. I love the Vans stripe on the side of the sneaker. It really adds some nice contrast to the shoe. The Vans Old Skool comes with a suede toe and a suede heel, and also a canvas midfoot panel. Unlike the Vans Authentic, the Old Skool actually features some padding, and so in my opinion, it's more comfortable. It still features the vulcanized rubber midsole and the waffle outsole, and because of that, it's got excellent traction, especially on skateboards. The Vans Old Skool is the quintessential everyday sneaker and comes in at a retail price of around $60. Number 1, the Nike Air Force 1. Growing up, I'm sure you had a pair of Air Force 1s. They were one of those shoes that everyone had. Originally debuting in 1982 as a basketball sneaker, the Air Force 1 was the first basketball shoe to feature air. And even though the Air Force 1 was originally designed for basketball courts, it became incredibly popular for both lifestyle and everyday wear. Not only is the Air Force 1 an iconic style, but it's come out in a ton of different variations in almost every single color. You've got high tops, you've got mid tops, you've got low tops, you've got special forces variations, you've got huge collaborations like the Off-White Air Force 1 lows, tons of different versions to choose from for every price range. The most popular version of the shoe is definitely the triple white Air Force 1 low. It's been worn by pretty much every celebrity ever. The AF1's clean, minimalistic style and smooth leather upper really made this a shoe that you could wear for pretty much any event. And to be honest, I actually think the AF1 low is one of the most comfortable shoes on the list. And right now, you can actually grab a pair of Air Force 1s, specifically the low top version of the shoe, for about $90. But that pretty much wraps up the list of the top 10 classic sneakers of all time. Now I would love to know your thoughts on this list and whether you agree with it or whether you feel like I left some shoes off the list. So let me know in the comment section down below. And again, if you would like to check out any of the sneakers that I talked about in today's video, I've left links to do so in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.